Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. I'm Juan the Yarn Addict and I'd like to welcome you to episode 96 of my podcast where we talk about all things yarn, and I have tons of things to share with you and talk about. Today is August the 13th, 2025, and I'd like to offer a huge hello and welcome to anyone new or anyone returning back to the channel. Thank you so much for checking out today's podcast episode. In this episode, we begin with coffee talk. It's the admin portion of the show. From there, we jump into finished objects, otherwise known as FOs. After that, we dive into the WIPs, otherwise known as works in progress. And from there, I have a few acquisitions to share with you, along with a few pieces of Happy Mail. So if any of that is of interest to you, please sit back and enjoy today's podcast episode. Before we get started, please remember to hit the like button. Consider subscribing to the channel if you haven't done so already. And then, of course, share the video. I would definitely appreciate the support. So with that, we're going to jump into coffee talk. And the question of the hour for coffee talk is, what is on the mug? And we have the Bucky's tumbler in tow with the logo there. Very, very nice. I have no idea why I decided to fill up such a large tumbler with hot coffee on this extremely hot day. It's super, super hot, but as I always say, it's what's on the inside that matters most. It is Dunkin' Donuts hazelnut coffee with caramel macchiato creamer, and I have been nursing it because it is very, very, very hot. So I'm going to leave that sit there while we move on to the rest of coffee talk. So in the show notes, you will find links on places where you can find me outside of YouTube. So I have my Etsy, my Ravelry, my affiliate links, my Alliance member links, you name it, it's there, including my Facebook group, Juan the Yarn Addict and Friends. It's a private group, but everyone is welcome to join. You just answer a few questions and we'll be more than happy to let you in. So I will also include any information on things I discuss or talk about in this podcast episode. So again, feel free to check the show notes for all the things, okay? So the next thing that I want to talk about in Coffee Talk is the Stitch Academy. So the last podcast episode, 95, I mentioned that if and when I drop stitch tutorials, I was going to bring the swatches into the next podcast episode and show them to you. And so since the last podcast episode, I dropped 6 stitch tutorials. Yes, 6. So without further ado, let's jump into this. The first stitch swatch here I have is the aligned puff stitch. It works up in multiples of 2. It's a little bit of a yarn eater, but the texture is great and it looks really, really nice on both sides. Very, very nice. So stitch multiple of 2. All right, next we have the basket stitch. There you have it. And this works up in multiples of 6 plus 5 plus 2 for the foundation chain. And we're alternating the V-stitch and the iris stitch. It alternates, it doesn't stack on top of one another. It's a really fun stitch and it works up super, super fast. So there's that one. And next we have the wattle stitch. And this works up in multiples of 3. Very, very nice. The yarn here was Red Heart Super Saver Ombre in light blue. And I have to say, I'm usually not used to seeing cuts in the ombre like that with Red Heart. But it still worked up really, really nice. And the fabric is really, really nice as well. So the wattle stitch. So next we have the matte stitch. Right here. It's a dense fabric. And it's got some give to it, which is really, really nice. But yeah, the matte stitch. This works up really, really fast. And this works up in multiples of 6 plus 2. Very, very nice. Straight edges and everything. Next, we have the iris stitch. It's a very common stitch. Great for those who need a refresher or for beginners who have never seen this stitch before. And this works up in multiples of 4 plus 3. And then last but certainly not least, we have the sprig stitch. Again, a dense fabric, but it works up really, really nice. And this works up in multiples of 4 plus 3. And it looks the same on both sides. So the very peculiar thing that I noticed with these swatches is with 99% of these, they're at or around 36 chains to start with. The only time I veered off from that is if the stitch multiple did not allow it. And they're all different sizes. Same hook, same everything, all 4-weight yarn. But because of the actual stitch and the way it pulls and squeezes together or stretches out, it actually changes the thickness of the fabric. I was actually hoping to make tiles so that I could make like this quilt, but every single one so far is of a different size. So, but yet all of the chains are virtually the same, minus 1 or 2 chains. But even with 1 or 2 of a difference, I mean, you have all these different thicknesses. Wow. Anyway, so I'm going to add these to the pile, and maybe I can create something with it. I'll just piece it together and make it like a patchwork type quilt. I'm not sure. But anyway, so stay tuned for more stitch tutorials. I'm filling up that playlist and I'm redoing a lot of the older ones. So yes, the ones that are already there that I'm redoing, I'm not going to delete those videos. I'm just going to move them into another folder so that all the fresh tutorials are in the same folder. And then all of the vintage videos will all go into another folder. Okay, so stay tuned for more details around that. So yesterday we had Taco Tuesday Season 2 Week 1. And it was a very, very fun episode / session where I decided to come up with all of these new challenges. And I have the cards right here. I'm putting them in its own jar. And so here are the original tickets. I pulled from here, got these 4, and they're going into the used jar right here. So for repeats week. Anyway, just to recap the challenges very quickly, we have 4 challenges here. The first one I have here is create and make using the stitch wheel. So we pulled the stitch wheel out. We have all of these stitches, well, almost all these stitches on the stitch wheel. And so we spun for 5 stitches, and you have to use 3 of them. And the 5 that we pulled from the stitch wheel was the arcade stitch, the iris stitch, the palm stitch, the snapdragon stitch, and the mat stitch. So some of these are in here. Some of them are from last week's swatch sample showing, and then some that I have not even talked about yet. So yeah, there's that one. The next one is the holiday make. So the holidays are coming. Create any make for an upcoming holiday. Must be larger than your hand and must be more than 1 color. So any upcoming holiday, it could be a turkey, it could be anything for Halloween, you name it. Excuse me. The next card I pulled was the element challenge for water. Create and make using colors that represent water, must be larger than your hand, and any color that represents water to you. All right, and then the 4th one was a season challenge for summer. Create and make using summer colors, must appear as a summer make. You can use as many colors as you want, but the make must be larger than your hand. So those were the 4 challenges. If you're interested in joining, I did put this information in my post tab. I think you'll find it in the community tab, and then also in my Facebook group, Juan the Yarn Addict and Friends. So if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. So that is all I have for Coffee Talk. Let's jump into finished objects. I have 2 Boggy blankets and a hat. So let me show you those. I have a hat here that I make for donations. Many times off camera, just when I have some leftover yarn that I want to use up. I make what's called the PDQ hat. I make these up pretty darn quick, PDQ. So yes, I am going to be recording a very quick and easy tutorial for those of you who are interested in this. It works up really fast, and it's a great way to stash bust, and you can make donation hats. So I'll try it on. So there you have it. PDQ hat. It works up super, super fast and all the things. So yeah, and I'm going to unfold this just to show you the full hat. So these 3 colors are the same thickness, and then these 3 colors are of a smaller thickness, but they're the same. And then you just take it and you fold it and you put it on. That's it. There you go. Very fast, fun, and easy. So stay tuned for the tutorial for this. And I'll put that there. And let's move on to the 2 Boggy blankets that I have as finished objects. So I've shown this many, many times, and finally it's finished. So many whipping it with wands with this one. So this is my perfectly squared granny square done up as a 2-bit granny. We start with 4 rounds of the 1 color, and then we change colors every 2 rounds, making sure that we have 2 complete rounds of that color, not repeating any of those colors. And the goal was to go 40 inches by 40 inches. And for the final round, I did a single crochet for a final round there in black. Super, super nice. 40 inches by 40 inches. I love this. So much fun to look at. So there is that. The next Boggy blanket that I have as a finished object was from Luck of the Draw number 11. Yes, very late because we're already in 12. But I continued, I persevered, and yes. So we have Ripples in the Creek. This was designed by Tricia. Her channel name is Mama Swift. Very, very nice. This is 40 inches by 40 inches as well. And the yarn used was Flower Power. So Red Heart Flower Power, all in one, in various colors. And the black is Loops and Thread Soft Classic in black. And the yarn that I have here, I'm just going to show it to you because I can never remember all the colorway names. So I have a lot of leftover yarn, which is great. So this colorway here is called Daisy Dew. You have the gray and the yellow and the white. And then I'm going to sit it right here. The next one here is called Catelli Bronze. I really like this colorway. Very, very nice. The blue with that gold, perfect. But my favorite is this one. Dapper Daphne. I'd like to pluck the purple out of the skein and make something with this shade of purple. It's really, really nice. I enjoyed working with that very, very much. The next one here is called Red Hot Phlox. And I'm not sure if you can see it, but it's got bits and bobs of orange right next to that red. It's kind of hard to see, but it's there. And then last but not least, we have green. I mentioned this several times that I lost the band, and every time that I mention this, you guys tell me what it is in the comments, and then I write it down, and then I forget. So, yep, green. So, very, very nice. And I'm going to put all this back. And that rounds out the finished objects for this episode. I'm going to put all this right here. Okay. Next, we're going to work through the works in progress. So I have 4 whips to share with you. The first one is a new one. I just very, very quickly put this, into work, from the design element to the pattern and everything. And this is Nana June's Blessing Blanket. I wrote this pattern literally 48 hours ago, maybe less than 48 hours ago. Tested it, ran it, and did all the things. And so I designed this for Camp Boggy Creek in honor of Nana June. So she was a member of the Boggy Brigade. She made blankets last year, tons and tons of blankets. And she was also a member of my channel. And so to pay tribute to her for all the work that she's done for Camp Boggy Creek, I felt compelled to design a blanket in her name and put it out there for everybody. So this is a very free pattern on Ravelry. Feel free to download this at your leisure. It's called Nana June's Blessing Blanket. And the yarn that I'm using for this is Lion Brand Mandala Gradient in the purple colorway. Absolutely beautiful. This gradient is stunning. The yarn is just so yummy on the hands. I love it. So this is a medium 4-weight yarn. Each cake is 5.29 ounces, 150 grams, 295 yards at 270 meters. It's 90% acrylic and 10% nylon. And I think that mix is what's causing it to feel so, so nice to me. I really, really enjoy this yarn. So the suggested hook size is a 5.5 US letter I, and I'm using a 6.0 US letter J prim hook. So let me show you what my work looks like so far. I am approaching the 4th cake. And this is what my work looks like so far. Very, very nice. I love this pattern. It works up super, super fast. And this features some of Nana June's favorite stitches. That's kind of why it looks this way. She preferred blankets in the round. I've asked all the questions already. And so I asked Cherry, her daughter, did she prefer back and forth? Did she prefer in the round? So with her help, I came up with this blanket. So Nana June preferred her blankets in the round, and she liked double crochet crosses, and she liked twins in a stitch. And she also liked the granny stitch, but because of the stitch multiple, I went with 4 doubles instead of the 3. So yeah, very, very nice. So if you're interested in making this, for Camp Boggy Creek or for yourself, feel free to download that free pattern off of Ravelry. All right, so that one is done. And next we're going to talk about the Vintage Spectrum Chevron. So I've never showed this. I've been working with this off camera, and I'm very excited to show you my progress on this. So I mentioned it a few times, but didn't show it. And so this is what my work looks like so far, and I'll talk about it in just a second. It's really, really, really long. I don't know how I'm going to be able to hold it all up, but I'm going to do my best. How about this? Why don't I fold it in half and then show you that way? There we go. Okay. Yes, I'll hold it like this. Okay, so my Vintage Spectrum Chevron blanket, all done in half double crochet. I started the blanket with Caron 1 pound in dark gray, just as a solid border. And then what I'm doing is 4 rows of each colorway. And each colorway here is a discontinued vintage variegated yarn. And based on my measurements, to get the size that I need 45 colorways. And the goal here is to not repeat any colors. I may not be successful with that, but I'm definitely going to try. So, yes, I wrote them down, so I'm going to tell you the colorways. And then I'm going to put a stitch marker here, and then the next time that I show it, I'll show you the progress. So this first colorway here at the bottom, obviously is Caron 1 pound in dark gray. And then from there, we have Red Heart Super Saver Country Blues here. And then from there, we have Red Heart Super Saver Holly and Ivy. And then we have Red Heart Super Saver in Pebbles. And then we have Sayal yarn in shaded greens. And then from there, we have Radiance yarn in Evening Jewels. And then from here, we have Red Heart Super Saver Cottage Garden. And then we have Red Heart Super Saver Star Brights. And then Red Heart Super Saver Desert Sand. And then the one that I'm currently on is Red Heart Super Saver Fiesta Jewel. And I have the skein right here. This is gorgeous. Fiesta Jewel. So those are all of the colorways thus far. And now that I've shown you that, I'm going to put the stitch marker probably on the colorway before Fiesta Jewels because I'm currently working on it. I'm not finished with that. So yeah, very, very nice. And I'm learning that with 4 passes, with 4 rows, with as long as I am making this blanket, it's an entire 3.5 ounce skein of yarn is what it's running me. So 3.5 ounces per stripe. So very, very nice. So I will update you guys accordingly as I move through the project. Okay, so the next one that I have here is my trebles blanket. So just a quick little update. I've shown this before. I don't remember where, but I've shown it. This is an entire blanket worked up in trebles, and this is going to be a donation blanket to Camp Boggy Creek. And so we have light gray, Red Heart Super Saver. We have purple, this is Big Twist, and then yellow, we have Mainstays in yellow. I believe now, I remember the last whipping it with Juan, I spoke on this. And so I finished the 5 rounds, and so I did a measurement, and I'm 1 inch shy. So I thought that like I would get 1 inch per round, and I would need 20 rounds to measure 40 inches total. So I'm 1 inch shy so far, even with everything on here. So I'm going to pick another color. I'm going to put 5 rounds of that color on this blanket and then do like a border in another color just to finish it off. And that should give me 40 inches by 40 inches. But this is where I'm at with this, and I can't decide whether or not I should go with orange, like a bright orange right up there, or if I should go with like an aqua color, like a spa color or a teal. What do you guys think? Orange or teal? Or maybe another color. Sound off in the comments. Tell me what color you think goes well with this. Okay, and I'll take that into consideration, and who knows, I may come up with another color. Okay, so the next one I have here, just a little bit of an update. This is my vintage Spectrum corner to corner. It's growing. And this is where I'm at with it. Very, very nice. So I'm taking all of my leftover yarns from projects and I'm putting them into this blanket. So this is the last and final stop for all of my vintage variegated yarn. I don't know how big this is going to be. I would imagine larger than a full size because I have a lot of yarn still to go through. As I mentioned, for this project alone, I need 45 colorways, and some of the skeins that I'm working with are larger than 3.5 ounces. Like Evening Jewels, this skein here is 6 ounces. So once I use my 3.5 ounces, the rest of this yarn will go into this vintage Spectrum corner to corner. So I'm very excited about that. So I'm using a 6.0 millimeter US letter J hook. Most of my projects are being worked up with this hook right here. I love this hook. It's so much fun. Between that and my hero hook. My hero hook I usually use for my tutorials and things. Sometimes I'll work with this off camera, but usually it's my prim hook that I work with off camera because of the squeaking. So I use my dryer sheet and it does work, but with the humidity being the way that it is, it doesn't last me a long time. So I don't mind the squeaking. I'll watch videos, I will put on a movie and squeak away and be okay with it. But I know that like for tutorials and things, I cannot use this hook when it's humid outside because it squeaks a lot. So there's that. So that is all of my projects that I have as a whip. And from here, we're going to jump right on into acquisitions. So I have a few acquisitions here. I'm going to start with my acquisition from Facebook Marketplace. So I have 2 of them in this bag here. This first one here was a surprise because originally I saw the listing for 2 hanks of yarn. It was a ridiculously cheap price. I believe it was like 2 hanks for 18 bucks. And I'm like, I have to jump on that. And then I sent the message letting the person know that I was interested. And they came back with, well, hey, in addition to this, I have this, this, and this. Are you interested? And I said, okay, what's the price? And so we discussed the price and everything was good. And so I went ahead and ordered some things. So let me open this. All right. Let me just dump this on the table and work my way through it. Okay. So this is super, super nice. So I have 2 hanks of yarn here. This is called, let's see, the Yarn of My Dreams. Yarn of My Dreams. And the colorway is called Pecan Brown Tonal. So pecan. I'll give you a close-up of this. And this is 100% superwash merino wool. It's 100 grams, 246 yards, 225 meters. It's a 4-ply DK weight yarn. They don't really have any hook size suggestions, but typically with the DK weight yarn, I start at or around a 5 millimeter US letter H hook, and I go from there. So a 5.0 millimeter hook is kind of the go-to for a DK weight yarn for me. Yeah. I try not to go down to a 4.5. So 5.0. So there's that. Next, I have 2 skeins of, let's see here. This is Malabrigo Washted in the colorway Cowboy. Very, very nice. Love the way that looks. So this is approximately 210 yards, 192 meters, 100 grams. It's 100% superwash merino wool, hand wash, lay flat to dry. They are suggesting a 4.5 to a 5.5 millimeter crochet hook. So 5.5 to a 6 is what I would use for this. I try not to do that 4.5. Okay, and last but not least, I have Jade Sapphire Exotic Fibers. This is Mongolian Cashmere. Let me just pull this out. Here's the hank. And this was a whip. I got it as a deal and a steal. I had to take advantage of this. So this is 100% cashmere. Absolutely gorgeous. And the colorway is called Smoky Mountain, colorway number 115. Beautiful. This is 55 grams, 100 yards approximately. Very, very nice. They don't have a hook suggestion, but just based on the thickness, I would say very comfortably that it's a DK weight and a 5.0 is what I would. It says 8-ply though, so I'm not really sure. But just based on how it feels, to me, I would use like a 5.5 millimeter crochet hook. Yeah, probably a 5.5. So maybe it's, you know, more on the worsted side. Let's take a look at this whip. So it looks like a hat. Look at that. Super, super nice. And yes, I'm going to frog this. I'm going to frog this and I'm going to make it into something else. Actually, I want to put this on needles. It's cashmere. I mean, I don't really get to play with cashmere that often. So if I'm going to do that, I might as well just put it on needles. So anyway, that was my haul from that Facebook Marketplace transaction. And then the next one actually came in spurts. So I met the same person multiple times because deals and steals were had. It was such a good thing. So let me just go ahead and get all the things out. I'm trying to save up on the crinkling here. All right, so just a few more items. Hold on one second. Okay. So the first thing that I have here, and all of this came from the second person, but we met more than once. Actually, we met twice. So the first one I have here is this, and it comes with a nice little charm. It looks like a lantern. Super, super nice. I'll put that right in there. And so this is called My Melody, funny number 17, and it is absolutely gorgeous. And it's funny number 17. It's 250 grams, 950 meters. Wow. And it says 50% wool, 50%, it's all in another language, I do apologize. 50 wool, 50 polyester. No, 50 wool, 50 acrylic. There we go. 50 wool, 50 acrylic. Very, very nice. And let's see, this is machine washable, lay flat to dry. I'm trying to look for a colorway name. I don't see one. This is a new to me yarn. I've never worked with this before, but this looks very much like what a Rena's cake would look like. It's just threaded. Very, very nice. So I got that. I have no idea what I'm going to work this up into, but I'm going to wait for it to tell me the things. So I'm going to sit that right here. And from here, I have 2 skeins of Premier Anti-Pilling Everyday Medley. And let me pop this out and show you. Beautiful colorway there. Absolutely gorgeous. So this is called Hunter Marble. It's a medium 4-weight yarn. They are suggesting a 4.5 millimeter US number 7 crochet hook. This is machine washable and dryable. It has been tested and approved against 350 plus harmful substances. Very, very nice. And in terms of like, and this is very soft, by the way, I should add that. So 219 yards, 200 meters, 3.5 ounces at 100 grams. It's 100% anti-pilling acrylic. Very, very nice. So 2 skeins of that. I'll just set that to the side there. Next, I'm very excited about this one. This is a new to me. And forgive me if I say this wrong. Schepke's. So Schepke's Whirl Cake. And yeah, so the colorway name here is Jumpin' Jaffa Pop. Jumpin' Jaffa Pop. I love that. So let me see here. This is 1,000 meters, 225 grams. This is machine washable and lay flat to dry. It's 60 cotton and 40 acrylic. I love that. I love how this feels. It's super, super nice. So I think one of these may be enough for a scarf or a shawl. I'm not sure. To me, in my opinion, they make these just big enough so that when you get towards the end, you're going to need to order another one. In my experience with my shawls, like, I just tip over the 1,000 yard mark and I'm like, I need more yarn. Where am I getting it? You know? So maybe, I'm not sure. Let me see. The hook size recommendation, I forgot to mention, 3.5 to a 4 millimeter crochet hook. And when it comes to yarn like this, I don't mind at all using a 3.5 millimeter hook. So, yes. Next, I have another Schepke's cake. I hope I'm saying it right. Schepke's. And it's another whirl cake. And the colorway here is called Rhubarb Bumble. I love that. It's so, so nice. Same specs, same everything. It's 60 cotton, 40 acrylic. They are suggesting a 3.5 to a 4 millimeter crochet hook or knitting needle, completely up to you. It's really, really nice. It feels great. It's fingering weight. And let me see here. Machine washable, lay flat to dry. Very, very nice. Okay. Next, I have two donuts from Knit Picks called Lindy Chain. I have a dark purple here, color number 532. It's giving aubergine, like a really dark, deep purple. And then color number 792, like a medium brown. Very, very nice. So it's, let's see, hand wash, lay flat to dry. It's fingering weight. It's 180 yards, 50 grams. And they are suggesting a 3.0 to a 3.5 millimeter crochet hook. So, yeah. Couldn't beat it. I got both of these for $7. Very nice. Okay, so that is all I have in terms of the Facebook Marketplace. Okay, so from here, I'm going to move the bag out of the way. I have my club kit from Mary Maxim to share with you. So every month I get a kit like this, and it's usually my knit club of the month. Every quarter I get a crochet club kit. So I think this is the knit club kit. Let's check it out. There's a lot of yarn in here, so I'm not sure if this is actually the crochet club or the knit. Let's see. This is the knit club. Okay. That's a lot of yarn for a knit club. Okay, so what do we have here? The Ripped Waves Lapgan. So this is the kit. We have Red Heart Super Saver. We have Bernat Premium. I like how they mixed labels like this. Red Heart Hello Gorgeous. All right, let's look at the yarn. I have friends that crochet that will not cross labels. When they start with a Red Heart project, everything has to be Red Heart, and so on and so forth. So when I work projects up with labels that are like all kinds of different labels and things, you know, it gives them the ick. Like, ew, don't do that. But I'm all about it. I like mixing labels. It's so much fun. Anyway, this first yarn here has a little bit of a bite to it. Not so gorgeous. The colorway name is Atlantis. It looks really nice, but it's pretty rough on the hands, if I'm being honest. Wow. Okay. So yes, Atlantis, it's a medium 4-weight yarn. They suggest a 5.5 millimeter crochet hook. It's machine washable and dryable. It's 100% acrylic. And let's see, it's 5 ounces, 141 grams, 252 yards at 230 meters. And this is the front of the label. Hello, gorgeous. So there are 2 skeins of that in this bag. We have 2 skeins of soft white. Actually, soft white, yes. Soft white. At first I thought it was Aran, but no, soft white. And then I have here 2 skeins of Brunette Premium. And the colorway here is Gray Marl. I don't really get the chance to work with Brunette Premium that often. I have to tell you how soft and squished this is. This is really, really nice yarn. So this here is 7 ounces, 198 grams, 360 yards, 329 meters. They are suggesting a 5 millimeter crochet hook. It's a medium 4-weight yarn. Wow, machine washable and dryable. So that's the yarn. Let me go ahead and move this over here. I wonder if we're using larger needles because, again, this is, you know, a lot of yarn and these kits come once a month. So I'm assuming that the expectation is I get the kit, I work it up, and it should take me a month to finish. I mean, that's a lot of yarn. Anyway, here it is. Ribbed Waves Lapgan. And here is a closer view of the pattern with the color changes. So I'm not sure if I'm at this level with my knitting yet. I'm going to give this a whirl and see what happens. If not, we're going to do the ribbit thing. So I'll give it a whirl and see what happens. Let's see here. The needle, they're calling for a size 10, 6.0 millimeter. Perfect. So we are using a larger knitting needle than what they would suggest, which is a 5 or 5.5. So very excited about that. Okay, so stay tuned. I'm going to give it a whirl. I'm going to try my best with it, and we'll see what happens. Okay, so I have a little bit of a surprise for you guys. If you made it this far into the podcast episode, I did not mention this in the beginning because I want to make sure that those of you who watch all the way through hear about the little treat. So I am doing a replay treat. So this is something new that I'm bringing into the channel. And if you're interested, here it goes. So if you watch my podcast episodes, at any time during the podcast episode, I may actually just pepper in a replay treat. I'm not going to guarantee it for every podcast episode, but I may, who knows. Anyway, you watch my content, you'll hear about the things, and then you just follow what we do, and then you become eligible for the prize. So for this one here, I have some treats. So the first one here, actually both of these treats were gifted to the channel by Mary. So Mary, thank you so much. The first one here will be sent to you with this wonderful little bag. I love these bags. They're perfect for whips and things. Anyway, we have some Hirschner's yarn in here. And we have 2 skeins. I'm going to pull these out and show you the details here. So this is Hirschner's Worsted 8 Halloween Sparkle Yarn. It is a medium 4-weight yarn. It's 92 acrylic, 8% polyester. And they are suggesting an I9 hook, so a 5.5 millimeter US letter I. It's machine washable and dryable. And the colorway name here is called Bootyful. Bootyful. So there is that. Also, we have the same specs, same everything. This is Halloween Sparkle yarn, and the colorway for this one is called Halloween Party. So again, this was gifted to the channel and I'm paying it forward, and I thought this would be a perfect way to do that. So I'm going to set that here and I'm going to show you the next treat. There's 2 treats for this podcast episode. And we have some cakes. This one here actually is a kit. This is a crochet kit. But if you're not interested in the kit, you have some yarn. All right. So this is Mary Maxim yarn. And it feels amazing. So this is a roving yarn. Look at that. Super, super nice. Mary Maxim Twisted. And it's 100% premium acrylic, machine washable, lay flat to dry. And the colorway is called Sassy. Sassy is the colorway name. This is made in Turkey. It's approximately 263 yards, 240 meters, 100% acrylic, 7 ounces, 200 grams. Very, very nice. And they're suggesting a 6.0 millimeter crochet hook or knitting needle. And it's classified as a bulky weight number 5 yarn. So we have 3 cakes in here. And the recipe that's coming with it, hold on, let me get it out of the bag. Let me get this out of the bag here. So it's called the Daybreak Poncho. So this is what it looks like if you want to do that recipe. And then here's the full arm span of the poncho if you decide to take the yarn and work it up like that. But you don't have to. I mean, if you don't want to work this up, then you can work this up into any project you'd like. All right. So let me close this up and tell you the details. So in order to qualify for these 2 replay treats, 1, you need to be publicly subscribed to my channel, as all of my treats and prizes and things are subscriber appreciation giveaways. That's 1. Number 2, I need to know what your favorite stitch is. So in the comments below, tell me what your favorite stitch is. What is your absolute go-to stitch? It doesn't matter what it is. It could be a basic stitch like a double crochet. It could be something really fancy and, you know, anything. What is your favorite stitch? Okay. And then I also need a keyword. So, because I need to know which one you're interested in, right? So tell me your favorite stitch. And if you're interested in this, you need to use the word sparkle. Tell me your favorite stitch and then use sparkle in the comment. Okay. You don't have to use it in a sentence. Just put the word sparkle and then tell me your favorite stitch. That's all I need. And then for this one here, twisted. So twisted is the magic word here. Again, tell me your favorite stitch and then use the word twisted if you're interested in this yarn. So those are the replay treats. All right. And I will draw for this in the next podcast episode. So when I do my next episode, I'm actually going to announce the winners and we're going to do it that way. So you have until the next time I post a podcast episode. All right. So stay tuned for that. All right, next I have a few pieces of Happy Mail here. The first one here comes to me from Donna. Donna is a friend of the channel. She donates yarn for the share boxes and everything. And I got this package in the mail and it says Happy Mail on the bottom. So very curious to know what is in here. I don't think she mentioned to me that this was coming. And if she did, I completely forgot. So let's open this. Okay, so we have some vintage yarn here. Ooh. Oh, look at this. Olive ombre. Windtuck olive ombre. Yet another color for my project here. As I mentioned, I need 45 of, these different colorways. So this is great. Olive ombre, medium 4-weight yarn, 100% Orlan acrylic, 3.5 ounces. This is exactly what I need to do my 4 rows. So perfect. All right, next we have, this looks like Dove. Let's see. Yep, this is Dove. Maybe it's Dove. I'll have to check the label here. So yes, this is Dove. Red Heart Super Saver in Dove. So I know the yarn label shows the gray, I mean not gray, the gold heart, the gray, or no, the gold trimming around the heart. That's what I was trying to say. It's got that, but they still make this yarn. So the yarn is vintage, but the colorway is not. So I will actually put this with what I have in stash. And I think now I have enough to work up a project, because in stash I have one skein and it's catty corner from this orange cubby going this way, just one skein of the dove. So now I have 4 and some change, which is amazing. Next, I have some solid Yarns Brunswick. Wow. Windrush. I have some of this, not in this colorway, but in other colorways. I'm going to have to dig it out and find it and pair it together to just see what kind of colors I can work with. This is great. So the colorway is Aqua. It's a medium 4-weight yarn, very vintage. You can tell by the label. Wow. That's amazing. So there is that. It's giving hand washing instructions or machine wash instructions. Very, very nice. And it doesn't have like a suggestion as far as needles or hooks or anything, but traditionally with your medium weight yarns, it would be an eye hook, 5.5. That was usually the go-to back then. Unless it otherwise, it's specified otherwise. So next we have, oh wow, look at this. So we have knit picks options. Let me show you this. So she sent me some DPNs. Now, fun fact, I actually have recently, I purchased my interchangeable set in this particular colorway. So now I have matching DPNs. I don't know if she knew that, but yes. How amazing is that? And then here we have interchangeables. And this is for size 13, 9mm knitting needle there. So this will actually work with my interchangeable set that I have. So this came right in handy, Donna. Thank you so much. Love that for me and for you and for us. And last but not least, we have Leisure Arts Baby Afghans to knit and crochet too. Very, very nice. I love this. So, so good. And so 1977. This comes to us from 1977. I love this so, so much. Thank you so much, Donna. Blast from the past. It's such a treat. I absolutely, absolutely love it. So anyway, that is all I have for this podcast episode. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this, please hit the like button. Consider subscribing to the channel if you haven't done so already. And then, of course, share the video. I would definitely appreciate the support. So that is all I have for this one. And until the next one, take care. Bye-bye.